Hey, well, here we all are. I'm Kirk McEwen from 98 Rock, hanging out with the Wolves. It's Keith Brewer up in my left corner. I got Steve Conti, John Conti, and you guys are all spread around.
Hey.
John is in Lower Manhattan. Steve is somewhere in the Netherlands. And Keith Brewer is in Bucks County, PA, right outside Philadelphia. And we're here. We should do this all the time because
we may be.
This is the only way we can get together anymore.
Let's do it every day, Kurt.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow night.
Yeah. Hey, listen, it's been 30 years since one of my favorite albums came out, and I love all the songs on it. I was singing Everybody's Baby a little earlier, but the debut of Company of Wolves, you know, talk to me about that time where you guys, and listen, I know you have done some of these questions before, but not with me. So I'm going to ask the questions that a lot of the fans want to hear and that I want to hear. And I want to know where your mind was at when that album came out. Maybe the first time you heard Call of the Wild on the radio or you saw the video, which was a great video with the Wolves running in and the guy, get out of here, you know.
Hey, you guys remember the last
time? The moon.
Where were we? Where were we the first time we heard it on the radio?
I don't remember it. Do you?
I don't remember. I'm thinking of that scene.
I was in a car.
You were in a car?
We were in a vehicle. We were in a vehicle.
Like, I remember being on the tour bus and hearing it, but that was months later. You know, listen to the local station and going, hey, here we are. But yeah, I think, I don't know. The video, I don't know.
I thought we were in the car together. I thought we were in one of
those. Yeah, I don't think it wasn't like that scene in that thing you do. I think it was just like we were all just like wherever we were. But we were very excited about all of this because after my experience with previous record labels and stuff like that, I felt like this was, you know, handled much better. And we started to see results immediately. So.
And Keith, you had some experience with the Ravens and Fast Times, which that's pretty heady stuff too, coming right out of the gate and being on an album like that, a movie soundtrack. What about the Contis? Did you guys have anything like that before? Because that's pretty big when you get a major label, Polygram, and you get the money, you go ahead and record this album and then a video.
Yeah. Anything
like that before Company of Wolves?
Well, we had always had original bands, and but never a record deal for our own music. I had been playing with Jill Jones, the Prince from Prince's band, and you know she was on Paisley Park, and Glenn Burtnick. I'd play with people on labels and done videos or on MTV, but it was my first record deal, and my brother's as well.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I did an audition for Star Search with some band.
Is that real?
It was real. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I'm sorry. We did a video for, and there was a guy there from the organization. We didn't we didn't travel to Florida. I don't know, all expenses paid trip with a chaperone. No, we didn't do that. No.
Artie Fufkin?
Oh, that was the first. That was major. Yeah, big record deal with shit. You know, we got.
And
money.
John, you're going to Florida.
Like Florida.
Hang out with Ozzy.
Nothing.
Hanging out with Ozzy in Florida.
That's right.
Yeah, that was one of the first things
about that.
With Frankie on drums. Remember that?
Yeah, that was a big deal.
That Jim. We had the damn Yankees guys. We had Fiona. We had Rod Morgenstein from Winger, and Ozzy
was that big tall guy. Robin Crosby.
Robin Crosby from Rat.
Robin Crosby, from Rat.
Yeah, but Sharon wouldn't let Ozzy on stage with us.
Oh, seems
like he came on after.
Wait. Let's hear this.
The crowd was going wild. It was like a riot going on or something. Remember?
Yeah. I don't know. The only thing I have recorded.
Things I remember.
The only thing I have recorded, unfortunately, of anybody popping on stage is Billy Sheehan, and it took me like forever to figure out who was playing bass because John was up there, Billy was up there.
It was Big Bottom.
No, we were trying to play with both at the same time.
Yeah.
And one of my SVTs like blew up. It blew a fuse. And then you see through most of the video, I'm standing there with a tambourine playing. And every once in a while, I go up to my pedal board and turn on effects, and I'd put these effects on Billy's bass. And he's like, hey, what's going on? You know, I was trying to stay involved.
Did you guys see? Did you see any money? A lot of times you hear stories about you getting money fronted to do the album and maybe affects a tour bus or something. But you have that money has to go back. Were you given a nice satchel of dough at some point?
Yeah.
How does that work? Fill us in.
We were given a lot of money up front, and
we spent every penny of it.
Yeah, we spent every penny on it.
What to do?
Actually, like the short story was that we were given a lot of money up front and publishing money too. And we took most of that money and spent on remixing it because we were so particular at the time. Mm-hmm. We finished the album, you know, we started the album in Texas. We started the album, Texas.
Atlantic Studios.
And then ended up in Cherokee. And then in LA. And then when we got home, we were just unhappy with the mixes. And so we went and we took some of our own money and took it up to Mamaroneck and remixed. And that's the product that you hear. So, yeah.
I hope y'all like it because we were we were hungry for a while.
We spent all our money. It's a long time before you get more money, so you got to wait for it.
I do remember our manager saying, "Listen, guys, give yourself a favor right now. Just take some money and a little bit of money because there's probably going to be nothing left. And just put it in your bank account. Take like $5,000 each, and you know."
I do remember getting a bill from Polygram at the end for like a few dollars shy of $1 million.
That's right. Yeah,
it was like $900,995.50.
Well, yeah, it's funny how. But
I will say we were fortunate. I mean, they gave us all this tour support money, video budget. I mean, the fact that we had tour support money allowed us to at least pay ourselves like a few $100s a week or whatever it was. Like a lot of baby bands didn't even get that. I mean, they couldn't have enough to like just give themselves a little bit of money. So they kept us out. I mean, we were out there for 6 months, you know,
in a tour bus.
Working it hard on the tour bus.
The bass on that album, John, stands out to me. You really hear the bass.
Oh, the bass is, I have to say, the bass is really, to this day, I mean,
on Can't Leave You, it's just that little refrain in the middle, that doom, doom, doom.
Oh, yeah, that little bass solo. It goes, how's it go?
Can't hear it.
That's all right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
Say it all.
Yeah, bass solo on your first album, man. But forget about the solo aside. I mean, just the sound of the bass was phenomenal on that album. I was so happy with it. Everything was there. Everything was clear. Great attitude. Jeff Glicksman, you know, between him and I, we crafted a great sound.
You did. And you know what I hear when I listen to the first album? I hear me interrupting everything through the entire album. I hear me going, woo woo, and all right, wow. It's just that, you know,
it's a lead singer.
I think about the musicianship like years later, and I go like, all I was doing was just like yelling over you fucking guys. You know?
It's
awesome studios, awesome bass playing, great feel, and I'm just going, yeah, all right, wow, whatever.
They played some great honky tonk piano, Keith.
Hello,
a lot of people don't appreciate that. Keith is a great rock and roll, honky tonk, Nicky Hopkins kind of piano player. St. James. What else is there piano on there?
And harmonica.
And harmonica. Hell's Kitchen.
It's funny, when we did that last reunion gig, I forgot that I played harmonica.
Accordion, harmonica, bagpipes.
Came to that break in. Yeah, there's no accordion on the first album, but
no.
Thank God.
There's some on the second, though.
Yeah.
So piano on Romance on the Rocks too.
Romance. Yeah.
Romance and St. James.
Yeah. I wish it was a little louder. But...
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding.
St. James and Romance.
Yeah.
Do you think you guys have affected music that came after you? Because I do. I could hear some of the music on country radio. I could hear somebody doing some of the tunes on that debut album, and it just seemed country's not Merle Haggard. It's not that kind of country anymore. It's rock and roll.
Unfortunately.
And you guys were coming sort of closer to that, and now it seems like what you guys were doing could be suited on FM 93 WPOC, your country favorites. I just think some of your songs are well suited for country. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Yeah. We had.
For all of us.
We love the twang. You know, I mean, John and I used to be in a lot of like Southern rock bands when we were growing up. We did Skinner, we did, you know, Outlaws, all that kind of stuff, and of course we always loved the Stones and Faces the way they did their country ripoffs.
Sure.
But and the Georgia Satellites, of course, because we used their producer and all their amps and their studio and everything, so we love them too.
Because your songs are over 25 years old.
No,
if somebody wanted, does that mean anything? That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, you know what that means? That means we own them again.
Publishing.
That's the first thing. But anyway.
Let's say a Florida Georgia line came to you and they wanted to do Jilted. How would that work?
Well, I think I think I speak for all of us. We would be honored to give it at this point. To have somebody do one of our old songs would be really nice because, you know, I think they stood the test of time. So if I can be so bold, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that we've said that over the years. It's like, man, somebody would kill this and won't mention any names, but we were just talking about something to somebody.
Like we were saying recently, Keith. I was saying to you. I remember when Rodney Crowell wanted to take everybody's baby, and. You know, he wanted to record it, but he also wanted to like add a bridge to it, you know, to get some.
Right. Everybody wanted it.
And we were like, no, man, that's okay. It's done.
You're right. No, we don't need anyone.
So in hindsight, what do you say? No.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
There were a number of people that our publisher brought to us that wanted to do this and that, you know, somebody, I think, as I said, Bob Seger, I think it was a potential for Call the Wild.
No, Company of Wolves, the song
Company of Wolves, the song that no one out there has heard, by the way. We
right.
did have a song called Company of Wolves that has yet to be released.
Yes.
Why not just the Wolves? Because you refer to yourself as the Wolves a lot. And I know that you get a murder of crows and, you know, flock of seagulls. I get that. And I love the name Company of Wolves. I love the logo. Wasn't that Tom Kiefer's wife?
At the time.
Was it?
It was his wife at the time. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Not anymore.
No,
those of you playing along at home.
Hey, John Conti.
Yeah,
it's
Emily.
a tight-ass logo. I mean, everything.
Props.
Emily Kiefer, yeah.
Emily Kiefer designed that logo.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me.
And as a matter of fact, Tom was a fan of the band. Tom came in during our second album, I think, in the studio, and you know was helped us actually with one of the songs. Institution of Love, remember?
Yep, he added one chord that really kind of
added one chord, right?
The trajectory of the song
in every chorus, it kind of like.
Yeah,
I've forgotten Institution of Love. Good Lord, it's been a while.
Yeah.
You know, I've asked you about, you know, Rocks in Your Head, man. I thought that song could have gone. It today, right now, today.
I
could
agree
be on the radio.
I agree with that.
Subject matters could be.
Yeah, like Fits in the Tantrums could do it. You know?
Wheel of Fortune is still on.
I could. What? Wheel of Fortune? What?
Oh, Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, watching Wheel of Fortune.
Oh yeah, from the lyric, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, we wrote that early on, right? But it just we never made the first album. I remember working on it at your house, but
I don't know. I had an acoustic guitar and a drum groove. I've been listening to the Prince record, Love Sexy. And
yeah.
And so you know, that came out of listening to that, and then but no, I don't think that was finished by the first album. That came.
Isn't that the one I had to play acoustic guitar on the demo because your hand was
probably
you had that problem where you couldn't play
on the tour? I lost the use of both of my hands, so for a year after that. We had our guitar tech play on the demos for me, and yeah, it was a crazy time.
Oh yeah, we have a whole session there where Tommy played.
Tommy Moore and Mad Dog
played guitar. All of our new songs.
Whose idea was it to leave the little riff in before Can't Love You?
You know what?
Joe Elliott.
What, to do that
Tell us
thing?
about that, Steve.
There is a story there, but there's two stories.
What a segue. So I'm backstage. I was playing with the New York Dolls from 2004 to 2010, and we were on tour with the White Stripes. We did some dates in Europe, and we were in Dublin. And I'm backstage, and all of a sudden, I hear this voice screaming in my ear, "Yeah!" I turn around. It's fucking Joe Elliott.
That's
from
great.
Def Leppard. He's cracking up. He's like pointing at me. I'm like, Joe Elliott? Because we had always heard that he was a fan, but we didn't know if it was our manager blowing smoke up our ass or what. So then Joe was like, "Oh man, yeah, I love that song," and mate, yeah. So yeah, Joe was and I sang with him on Ian Hunter's 80th birthday party in New York. We sang All the Young Dudes together.
Wow.
Recently.
That was just recently, right?
Yeah. So he's a great guy and great taste in music.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll say.
But that hand clapping and the little harmonica, I mean, is that the producer's idea to leave that?
You know what? No, we were actually considering starting the song like that. Can't love you, can't leave you. But it just sounded like shit over and over and over. He had so many takes of it. Finally, like Steve just went like, "Fuck it," and like Jeff just took it and cut it in. It's actually funnier than what our idea.
The laughter was real. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the laughter. Yeah.
The struggle.
No, the frustration was real.
Do you miss the way music was done back in the old days with album, tour, promote, get back in, write, and then that whole cycle? Now you can do it without a record company. You don't need to leave your own house. You can get up in the upstairs and go down to your basement, record, Pro Tools, edit, market, package, and get it out without Polygram or Chrysalis. So do you like the way it's done? It can be done now, or do you like the old way?
There's pros and cons to that. I think like there's nothing more fun than having a giant company spend $10 million blocking out a brilliant giant studio. I mean, there's every rap artist knows that, but yeah, so that's lost. And doing it at home gives you all the artistic freedom. So there's the pro to that, like you just, all the things that it took a committee to decide on. And usually like your idea was finessed in some place, sometimes where you didn't even recognize it. Now we had all the control and we did it, indie stuff. So yes and no be my answer.
It's also like, the downside is you take as much time as you have, because you don't have the deadlines. You don't have somebody going, "Come on, man, we need your album, by next month." We got the deadline for Rolling Stone review is here, So you take as long as you I take years in between my solo albums, unfortunately.
Remember when we were running out of time and money? At Montana, we walked, and Jeff stayed up all night, and we walked in the next day, and Ringo was the Jeff's like, "Man, I played it for Ringo. Ringo really liked it. Man, I think you got it."
Like, come on, man. Why didn't you wake us up? We were all crashed out on the couch.
We were like, "When did you play it for Ringo?" Probably played it at like, I don't know, sometime in the morning, and Ringo probably went, "Yeah, okay, see you later. All right."
Hey, John,
unless Jeff was hallucinating.
It might have been.
But I will say that just to get off that topic, I mean, the thing about that old paradigm, I mean, it's just sort of this utopian sort of idea when you were, especially younger, like, hey, like all we have to do is work on the music. Everyone else's job is to do this. And it was that feeling like, man, yeah, that's what we are. We're just going to, we have the luxury, or, that's our status. We're rock stars, or we're not rock stars, but nobody told us what to do with the music. Nobody said, hey, write songs like this, get this sound. Mm-hmm. So, we had the luxury and the feeling that was our job. All we have to do is create, do songs.
You had a manager to manage, you had a booking agent to book, you had a publicity person to do that. Now we all have to be that for ourselves,
Right.
And we're better at some things than others.
Seems like once you guys were signed with a product that you could hand to people. Look, here are these songs on our debut album that's damn good. It seems like you were, like the doors swung open and you were part of the fraternity now. Joe Elliott's whispering backstage, Billy Sheehan's on stage. It just seemed to open up. The rock and roll world opened up for you in a way, Keith, that it didn't open up maybe with the Ravens, in a way for the Conti Boys. It didn't open up doing the original bluesy thing in New York. But once you were in Company of Wolves and you had this album with Glicksman and all these guys, Frankie LaRocca's influence because of the bands that he was with, you guys were accepted, it seems to me. Do I have that wrong or not?
No, I think you're right. I think that, but I mean, every record label should have been, encouraging that kind of, intermingling, just it helps promote their artists. But I think we had good songs. And I think that, people recognized it and other people heard it, and some other artists like would, maybe even, say, man, I could steal that aspect or whatever. There were a lot of people that respected us, just like we respected certain artists that we heard on the radio. So,
like Billy Squire.
Yes. Like
Billy Squire, who took me and Keith when he heard the album, the second album that we did. He took me and Keith to sing and arrange the vocals on his record, "Tell the Truth," his last Capitol record, and I played some guitar on it. And not the first album.
Anyway, the opposite of the first album.
Yes.
But if you listen to, actually, if you have a CD copy, I don't know whether you can even get this information online, but Billy's last album, I believe it's his last album, right?
He did.
Anything after Rock Me Tonight, nobody remembers.
No, that was his last Capitol record, right? Then he did like solo acoustic records, Happy Blue, and
so Tell the Truth. Tell the Truth is the album that we're talking about, and Steve and I did a lot of the background vocals, and the funny story is that Billy we were getting to know each other and stuff, and Billy's we were in there and we were singing. He said, and for the most part he was thinking what we did, but every once in a while he'd be like, you'd hear him come through the talk back. Can you do this, guys? Can you do this, guys? And then at one point he just went, I don't know. It sounds a little ropey and dicky. And we were like, what the fuck is ropey and dicky? So anyway, on the record, he credited us. It's Steve Conti, Keith Brewer, alias Ropey and Dicky.
Who's who, Ropey and Dicky?
We're not really sure which one of us is which.
Hey, back to Ian Hunter for a second. We have this friend, Steve Holley, big drummer. Maybe some of you've heard of him. He was in a little band called Wings with Paul McCartney, Joe Cocker, blah, blah, blah. He's played with a lot of people. Anyway, he's playing with Ian, and he had played the record for Ian back then. And I just remember him saying, hey, man, Ian really digs you. I played for Ian, and he really digs it, Wow, Ian Hunter digs our record. And then some years later, what was this, 2000, 2001? Yeah, I got a call from them to do Ian's record, his album Rant.
He really did dig it.
2000 or 2000, great record, like one of Ian's finest works. So that was just, you were saying, like, what happens, you guys were out there, you were accepted. I mean, just there's things that happen, we'll branch off from that.
Yeah, we could trace a lot of things back, and we can, I can go even further back and trace it back to the guy who introduced me to, the guys who introduced me to Keith, and I can follow it all the way back to, like, when I was 20 years old,
You guys,
but
I'm sorry. Finish your story. Were you in the middle of the story? I'm sorry.
What, you got a sandwich now?
No,
something just arrived.
My wife was a big, I wasn't married to her then. I just got married to her last year, but she was a big Wolves fan. And so every time she finds something in my house, like she opens a drawer and finds like those old T-shirts, she freaks out and posts on Facebook like, what has he been doing? He's been hiding these in the house. I didn't even know they were here.
Yeah. I know what you got in your hand.
You know what I got in my hand, right?
You got the postcards, don't you?
I do. Yeah. I got it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's great.
Look at Steve, man. Steve's like a Native American thing. Like,
whatever.
Always Charlie.
With old Sandy
Fucking
there,
Joe.
Sandy Gennaro. Wave out to Sandy.
That's
You
serious.
got, the background is like some painted.
Oh yeah.
box, right?
Oh yeah, there was a moon.
They
There was a
paint by
moon up
number.
there too. It's that was the session that we made the T-shirt out of. That was dreadful.
Oh yeah. Hey, look at this, Kirk.
Oh, that's
This
beautiful.
guitar. When I
Yeah.
came to Holland, I could only grab one guitar and bring it with me, and I had to go into the plane. So like, I can't bring my '59 Les Paul. So I pulled this out of the case. This was in the Distance video.
Ah,
Oh yeah.
I have not played it since 1980 or 90. Since 90.
oh my God.
I played it on the tour.
Yeah.
And this is a Kramer Beretta that they gave me, and I put a Elliot Easton neck because I hated the hockey stick necks that they had.
Were you in the
Headstock.
guitar magazines?
Yeah, we were in
sponsor?
Guitar Magazine. Yeah, in fact, Guitar for the Practicing Musician called me a guitar god in waiting.
Yeah, you did. All right. I remember that. You still have desert dust on that guitar, man.
Yeah.
So in '92, what was the impetus to pull the plug on the band? I mean, you could see Nirvana not even on the horizon. They were right there. The whole grunge movement. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just doing the timeline, and that seems to line up right. But you guys had 3 albums worth of material, pockets in the country that loved you.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering why.
I really think we could. I think we thought we could do it ourselves. Although I blame myself because I remember saying to these guys were like, okay, what do you want to do next? Who do you want to court next? You know, it was like there's still that record company mentality where you got to have a record company or else you don't exist. And I think like I had been on a couple labels and I remember just being really fucking pissed off at like how I didn't have any control, not just me, but all of us. So, and I think I just needed a break. So I blame myself. I don't know how you guys' experience was from that time, but it's when we actually stopped looking for another label. You know?
Well, the way I remember it, which is maybe different, the grunge thing was happening and labels were all flocking to Seattle. They all wanted their long shorts, bearded, flannel dudes playing, low-tuned guitars. And they didn't want to know about a rock and roll band. Like, we just played good time, fun, good songs. And they were chasing the trend. And we were like, enough. Me and John had a stockpile of songs. It was like, all right, I've always been a singer. I'm going to sing some of my songs. Keith's a solo artist too. Keith wanted to sing some of his songs. We're like, all right, well, let's, we don't hate each other. We're not enemies. We're just, Keith will go do his thing. We'll do our thing. And, never say never. We may do something again. And we have, and we will.
Yeah. Yeah, we've always stayed in touch, which I love because these guys are definitely my brothers, man. I played with a lot of musicians, but I can not talk to them for months, and we just clicked.
Finish the sentences.
What?
But we've co-written on each other's records. Like Keith co-wrote on our Conti's record.
I played keyboards in Steve Conti's band. I played.
Yeah, that's right. Keith played in my keyboards in my band. But Keith wrote on So Much for Love on the Conti's Bleed Together record. He co-wrote Fine Line with me on Crown Jewels record. I co-wrote Breaking Our House in Two with him on his record. And Tongue Tied was a song that we co-wrote.
Tell me something.
I played bass on 2 of Keith's records. Me and My Big
yeah.
Mouth. And Salvador Dali. I love that album, Salvador Dali. Great.
I'm gonna take 1 second. That's a good segue for me, man. Before we somewhere, I don't know where we are in this interview, but I'm gonna say that all of those albums right now. It's funny that it's good that you mentioned those because
yes.
Riff Records, RYFRECORDS.com. Riff Records. I'm sure if you're my friend on Facebook or if you follow us, you've seen me post stuff from riffrecords.com. Right now, we are featuring all of that stuff for $5 a piece, and all of the proceeds are going to out-of-work musicians. So it's just a little plug for that. You can get Salvador Dali and Me and My Big Mouth with John Conti playing bass.
Yes.
And you can get all of my solo stuff, all of our Wolves stuff, our 3 albums. You can get some other bands that I was in, Barley Juice, and if I could get the CDs out of you guys' studio, we could get rid of some of those too. I'm sure a lot of people would like to have those. So maybe in the future. But please go there and support. There's also a donation button. Just support out of work musicians. Thank you. Back to you,
Thank you,
Kurt.
Keith.
On the beach.
Hey, if you want to get our CDs, you can always go to CD Baby. We're not giving anything to out of work musicians.
They closed their store.
So that counts, right?
CD Baby closed their physical store, though.
They did. Well, they still distribute with Amazon and all that stuff.
Did they give us our CDs back?
I think they had 2.
Oh yeah, they asked you if you wanted them back, and if I had to tell them no. Yeah, the whole thing. But anyway,
they would have made you. They would have made you pay for the postage back, right?
Yes. Yeah. CD Baby is good for that, but they're
What are your thoughts on, the way music is now? Listen, I do a Tom Petty tribute band, Petticoat Junction.
Oh yeah.
Our last gig was February 29th, and I know that because right after that, everything got shut down.
That was Rob Fay's birthday, so he probably felt pretty bad about that too.
Rob Fahey helped me get my start. I sang Smithereens, Blood and Roses with him. So many times the horse you came in on, I finally said, maybe I'll take this out. But
everybody was out. But Kirk, you February 29th was your last gig.
That was it.
And now, of course, all of us are seeing all of our dates just go off the calendar. John was out. Where were you, John? You were in the South?
I was on the I-95 tour with Southside Johnny.
You're going to Florida!
Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida. That's right. I did go.
Georgia, Florida line.
Yeah. I was in North Carolina with Barley Juice. My last gig was March 15th. We got home and we just felt very dirty because we'd all been together all of us. Steve was in, where were you? Scandinavia?
I was in Finland. I had been on a cruise ship, like 8 sold out venues, meet and greets, handshaking, autographs. Like so dirty now that I think about it. Touching, everyone and everything, and doors and Ubers and airports, 5 airports, 3 different countries, 5 planes,
It's time to take your temperature again, Steve.
Yeah, the forehead check. But you worry about the concession stands at the stadiums, that all the festivals have been canceled. The guys, the riggers that are climbing up and putting lights up and things, and people parking cars. All of that is gone, and not to mention the musicians that can probably weather it a little bit better. The higher end, Dave Grohl's not going to hurt, but the people that are parking the cars at festivals this summer, sheds and things, you got to worry about that. And where are we going? When are we going to be able to be shoulder to shoulder at some of these shows and football games? You wonder where things are going until they come up with a vaccine, and even then, will people feel comfortable enough to come back out? You can see the line in the sand from where you were in North Carolina and Finland and Florida to now and going forward.
Well, I hope that they really get on this thing with old drive-in movie theaters and start doing, bands on a stage and then a local radio station. They started doing it in Lithuania. I saw something.
That's cool. I've seen that.
Far for most people to go to a gig.
And Keith, I don't know if you know this, but the highest amount of drive-in theaters of any state in America,
in
Pennsylvania.
I think we have the oldest one.
48 of them.
Yeah, unfortunately, like so many of them, I'm sure that all of the people listening to this will probably go like, oh yeah, they turned ours into like a mall, or they turned ours into. But I have the oldest one, I think, in the East Coast supposedly is near me, because it's called Shankweiler's, and I've been there, and it's like being in Greece. Like it's got the little playground underneath of the screen, and like the old movie that thing in the middle sells pizza.
I thought you meant like columns.
Huh?
Do you know?
I thought you meant like columns, like a Parthenon.
Oh,
the other Greece.
Do you know Harrs, Harrs in Dillsburg, Pennsylvania, Keith?
I know where Dillsburg is, but
there's one there. I went there to see closed for the season, so it was.
Which it is now.
Yeah. I mean, it was on the marquee. I heard it was going to be good. It's close to the sea.
No pun intended. That's been
No,
playing.
I've been past there. It's over near Gettysburg. Anyway.
Hey, just for my own enjoyment, members of the Heartbreakers stopped by when you guys were in one of your studio sessions.
Oh yeah,
yes, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, not Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers.
No, they know what's up. So what? Fill us in, Steve or Johnny, one of you two.
That was Stan Lynch and Ben Montench. Frankie LaRocca was friends with Lynch for a long time, and they came in and Frankie sang. Lynch got on the drums and Frankie sang. Hey, you get off of my drums.
Hey,
you get off
might be the only recording of Frankie singing. It might be.
Yeah, he actually sang some Heartbreaker songs too. He sang Breakdown. Can't do that, and yeah, there's a tape out there that exists. Someday,
our producer just started rolling tape, man. As soon as we started jamming, he started rolling tape. So it's
we got about 2 hours at least worth of
something.
That's when Frankie was calling himself Buddy Love, his alter ego.
Hey, Buddy.
Oh yeah, Buddy Love.
Stan Lynch going, and here he is, Buddy Love.
Frankie was a sweet, just dynamic, outgoing, talented guy. I got to hang around you guys a lot when you were on your run early, and I just remember sitting and talking to Frankie a few times, and you guys just really came together. That whole Wolves, that pack mentality, like it all seemed, you see the 4 pictures on the album, you feel it, you know what I mean? And Frankie was a big part of that glue. It's too bad he's not here to be with us today as we do this.
Yeah, it was his original vision, like I think it was, we made up the name and stuff like that, but his original vision was just like a power trio with a singer, and he was actually a very simple musician, and I think that's part of the reason that makes it so hard to replace, because the way he played was just very solid and just instinctive. I think that's why all those guys.
Simple, I hate to interrupt you, but Simple would seem to be easier to replace than Neil Peart, but
it ain't. It ain't.
No, man. It's not. I mean, we played with a lot of great drummers after Frankie too.
Yes, we did. Yeah,
there were a lot of great drummers out there. Not taking anything away from him, but Frankie had a thing. He had a style, and I think we all had the same record collection we grew up with. That's why we vibed together so well. We all loved, Moon and Ringo and Watts and Simon Kirk, and that's what the stuff we listened to together. We listened to Free, we listened to Bad Co, we listened to, of course, Stones.
That's my shit.
Beatles.
And
when we got together, me and Keith started writing songs. We wrote about 4 or 5 songs, and we said, "Hey, man, maybe we should start a band." I said, "I know bass."
Yeah. Stevie's freezing up.
The LaRocca. I said, "Oh, an Italian, great." So we got an Italian rhythm section.
Yeah, I was the guy that didn't have enough hair for this band.
But it was first we were the Keith Brewer band, and then we realized it was turning into a band because you guys had just written some songs together, right?
Yeah, we had written songs because that was the original vision that Frankie, I introduced them to Frankie, and Frankie had been trying to get me together with a power trio. You need a power trio with you just, belting out front. And so, we actually did, I don't know whether we did gigs, but we did recording. Brewer band, yeah. And then I said, I don't want to take responsibility for all this. I don't want to take the blame. Let's make up a name, because it was everybody was
it was a band, and like you said, Frankie had a thing, but we had that thing together, and then that's when you realize, oh, this is a band,
right?
This is not just come,
Yeah, and he used to say, hey, I got the feeling I got when I played with you guys the first time was like the first time I played with Adams in his basement. Remember?
Right?
Because he played with Bryan Adams. He played with, when Keith told me, I got this guy LaRocca. He played with John Wade. He played with Scandal. He played with Bryan Adams, David Joe
V.
Johansson. I was like, this guy sounds perfect, man. Let's get him.
Yeah.
And it was.
Gentlemen, any other areas we need to cover before we let people free?
I could
sit here, listen, I could do this for 2 hours.
I think we're just full of gratitude at this point, man. Like we've always the people that have stuck with us over the years are the people that understood us, and I guess that's the way it always is. We weren't like just a you know, we weren't like a lot of other bands, and I think there were a lot of people that Are we still rolling? Was that noise?
Yeah, I got a text.
Oh,
that wasn't from one of you guys.
Got a text. But anyway, I think we're just really grateful to have, the fans that we had were diehard, and they wrote us a lot of letters in the day, and then we got internet, and now we keep in touch, and we have always hoped to do more shows because we never really broke up.
I saw something at Club 66 in 17. That was 3 years ago. So you got to do it more often than every 3 years.
And with the internet, what I was saying, I guess yesterday was, with the internet, it's like we're looking for ways to maybe like play together so that we can get, because we had fans like just stretched out all across the country, in Europe and stuff, that just couldn't get them all in one room or get them all in a couple of rooms. A reason why a lot of bands don't make that trip across the ocean. So hopefully, like with the internet, like we can get one of these platforms and like, do some pay-per-view gigs and whatever, in the near future.
Okay. Flights from the Netherlands are cheap right now.
Are they really? Steve.
Flights from anywhere are cheap right now.
I don't know if you're allowed to fly, actually, but I'm sitting here for a while. I'll be here till the fall, I'm sure.
Mm.
That's beautiful. John, Steve, Keith, I appreciate you not bringing Eddie Trunk in or Ricky Rackman or somebody. Thanks for letting me do this. This was awesome. Company
Thank you, Kirk.
It's my thing, bro.
Thank you very much,
all our
brother.
fans that continue to write to us from all over the world, and thank you to all those amazing people out there right now, the first responders, the doctors and nurses.
Yes, absolutely.
Frontline workers, appreciate everybody. Hey, people at restaurants,
delivery
grocery stores.
Yes.
All right, wear your mask, wash your hands. Thanks for watching, and can't wait to see you guys again in person when it happens.
And Kirk, it's great that you're at 98 Rock, man. Where you were when we broke, you've been all around and done a little turn and come back to 98 Rock.
When I started at 98 Rock in '84, I thought I'd be to New York at some point, but
yeah,
I couldn't be happier. I'm at a great place where people know my name, and I get to do the Ravens football and play rock and roll and sing in a band. I mean, doesn't get much better than that.
It's cool.
So, hey guys, thanks again. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
This is awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. You're the man. Thank you.
Company of Wolves.
See y'all, everyone. Ow!